you at some point have probably ridden the train, but if you haven't, you should know that it has been around since 1961. There's been multiple operators, multiple trains, but it's always been a big part of the experience for everyone at Zilker Park. And so it was really sad. In 2019, there was a big storm and it washed out some area. There was a lot of erosion underneath the tracks at the far end of the route. And the cost was really high to fix. And the former concessionaire, the former train operator, just wasn't able to fix it. And so unfortunately, that was the Zilker Zephyr, and it had to close down. But, you know, because of our longstanding relationship with the City of Austin and the Parks Department, there was this great opportunity for Austin Parks Foundation to come in and to get the train back up and running again. And so we committed to City Council that we would do our best to do so as quickly and safely as possible. And, you know, we're also doing so during the time of the Zilker vision planning process. And so there's this 5-year period where they're doing a larger planning effort for Zilker. So it's really important for us to continue this work and not change it too terribly much, but to get it going in the interim period. So there's a lot of ways that we're going to keep the old tradition alive. Again, you know, we realize the importance of all of the things that have made Austin, Austin through the years. And we also see that there's a ton of opportunity for us to improve upon the experience. And so one of the ways that we're going to do that is we're going to make it an all-electric train. And so in the past, there's been diesel trains and there's been some that ran on propane, but this is going to be one that is all clean energy, which we think is especially important given the environmentally sensitive area that it's going to be running in. Another thing that we're very excited about is that we're increasing the ADA accessibility, not just on the train, but also getting up to the depot and being able to enter the train itself. So we really want to make sure that this is an inclusive experience so that all of our friends, regardless of their age or ability, are able to enjoy the delight of the train. We're also working with Dunaway that's an engineering firm here in town, to reroute the track itself. So because of the incident that I mentioned earlier in 2019, we were unable to allow the train to go upon that route. So what we decided to do is shorten it a bit. And I'm actually going to be showing you some pictures a little later of the new route itself. But, you know, we want to make this a really special experience for all. And, you know, partners like you, the community who's coming out to support the train, it's really working with you all that's making it happen. So we're excited to bring it back and make it better than ever. All right, so this is the amended route that I was talking about. So if you are imagining the route of the train, you know that it starts right next to the entryway to Barton Springs, and then it goes through the Zilker Playground, it goes underneath the bridge at Barton Springs Road, and then it keeps traveling along Barton Creek until it gets to Neff Point. That's where that beautiful overlook is, right there off the Butler Trail. It used to then make a left and then go a little bit further, turn around and come back on the same track. But because of the washout area, we've decided to go ahead and turn it around at Neff Point. So what you can see in the image below is that we are going to move the park road over just a little bit so that we have the turning radius necessary to turn the train around. So we think it's a really beautiful route. It gives everybody the opportunity to still make that trip through the tunnel, to still see the beauty and the blue water and the turtles at Barton Creek, but then they'll have that glimpse of Lady Bird Lake before they turn around and come back. And hopefully they'll see the busker who plays the guitar down there at the end. All right, as far as our project timeline, you can see back in the summer, we were really doing a lot of research and analysis. I spent the summer just learning about trains. We at APF never thought we were going to become train experts, but boy, let me tell you, we are now. So we worked with Dunaway, the engineering firm, and we did a lot of work to just ensure that the site itself was safe. We did structural assessments. We wanted to really make sure that we were well prepared in order to bring a new train. So in the fall, we made our recommendations to the city, and we were able to actually secure our permit for the work that I showed in the previous slide. So now, just to kind of tell you where we are in terms of the design and construction, we do have the train completely designed, and they have started work on building it. So right now, they've actually already delivered the rail to Austin, which is very exciting. They've already made the ties. The engine itself is completed and waiting for paint. This is going to be a great paint job. And then they're building the base, and we've just given them the final direction for what the benches and the seating in the passenger coaches are going to look like. So that is all underway. We've also submitted the permit for the design, the improvements at the depot. So we want to, the little building that's there that's always served as the station. We want to make that, just a little bit more modern, a little bit more functional, and make it really tie into the rest of the amenities there at Zilker Park. So we're hoping that we will be able to launch the project at the end of the summer, early fall. I think we're hoping to have a very soft opening so that we can really test things out, and hoping to have everything well underway operations in the fall of this year. So back in the winter time, we did something that was really cool, just to really engage the community and make sure that everybody in Austin really felt like they could play a part in the train experience. And we set out to have people, submit names for the train. And this was so much fun. We got so many submissions, so much interest, over 700 names, and I think like thousands and thousands of votes. And we finally came up with a name, and that is what has inspired the brand itself. So I want to just tell you that the branding development experience has been so fun for the whole team. And lucky for us, we got to work with the best in the biz. And so it is my pleasure to introduce to you now the branding firm that we've been working with, Frank and Victor's principal, Chris Visit.
Thanks so much, Lady Ann. First of all, on behalf of all of us at Frank and Victor, we want to thank the Austin Parks Foundation for the opportunity to work on this great and amazing project. As a kid growing up in North Austin, riding the Zilker train was such a magical experience. It represented adventure. It represented the hustle and bustle of a big city. And I just wanted to keep riding it over and over again. A couple years back in 2019, I was able to introduce my girls, my daughters, to the Zilker Zephyr. And when we climbed aboard, I remember really just thinking about how much Austin and I have grown up together, and how much we've changed, but how much we've also stayed the same. So for Frank and Victor, designing the visual brand for the new Zilker train means that we play a part in creating new and long-lasting memories of joy and wonder. We get to help APF build connecting tracks between Austin's past, present, and future. And, as a longtime Austinite, it's truly an honor and a privilege to be a part of this great project. Our objectives for this branding project were to design a new visual identity that invites all Austinites, appeal to kids and adults, bridge Old Austin and New Austin, and connect with Old Austinites, New Austinites, and visitors. But more importantly, our objective was to ensure that the new identity was approachable, friendly, and fun. Our design process is broken down into 3 phases: discovery, mapping, and making. In the discovery phase, our main task is to uncover perspectives from past and present to inform our next phases of work. In this phase, we conducted interviews with representative stakeholders from 3 distinct groups. The first being families with young kids. This audience can be characterized as active, casual, busy, but more focused on the kids than focused on themselves. As a parent, I definitely fall into that category. The second audience, old Austinites. So this audience is nostalgic, opinionated, and hopeful of retaining the Keep Austin Weird vibe. And then our third audience, newcomers, curious, outgoing, adventurous, and ambitious. Our team also conducted competitive landscape research. So that entails reviewing branding of parallel attractions and competitors such as Peter Pan Golf, the Austin Zoo, trampoline parks, water parks, etc. Our team also conducted desk research, which entailed reviewing materials from the Austin History Center, Austin Public Library, as well as reviewing branding from other miniature trains from around the country. Our next phase in the design process is mapping, which is essentially a synthesis of what we've heard, what we've learned, and what we know, and synthesizing all of those into attributes that inform our making. On the next slide, you'll see another example of our design mapping. Here, all these sorts of attributes and keywords revolve around our why. Why does the Zilker train exist? It exists to offer residents and visitors a brief respite of quick, simple joy that creates lasting memories for all and evokes the spirit of Austin's past and present. In this exercise, we're assigning attributes and keywords to define brand facets, such as mood, space, color, shape, and movement. Some examples of these attributes include joy, imagination, transformation, and authenticity. And in terms of the making phase, our making is really informed by our mapping, which was informed by discovery, which is also informed by the objectives set out for the project. We began our exploration with mood boards, sketches, lots of internal reviews, and then finally leading to high fidelity execution. In total, we presented about a dozen design options in 4 design rounds. And in collaboration with APF, we were able to narrow the work down to 1 final option. So enough with the background. Let's move on to the reveal of the new name and the new identity. So here I'd like to point out a few key points of interest. Aesthetically, our clean, laid-back eagle looks like it just flew from the mid-century concession stand to perch itself on our new train. The reverse shapes in our eagle's body mimic train tracks. The star-shaped eye of the eagle represents the Star of Texas, as well as Austin's status as the state's capital. The most noticeable element here is the tie-dye. There's no better way to pay homage to Old Austin and New Austin and our rich cultural tapestry than to dip our eagle into some tie-dye. On the surface, the bright, joyful colors incorporated in the tie-dye are really striking, memorable, and kid-friendly. But digging deeper, tie-dye's expression of individuality, freedom, and creativity truly represents Austin. Our town is known as a place where people can freely be themselves, a place where individuality is celebrated, and where everyone is welcome. So Erica, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. And nowhere else but Austin would you find a tie-dyed train engine. It should be noted here that this is just a representation of what we're planning. The actual train has a different face and nose, but we think that this is going to be a great photo opportunity in the park, and really represents joyfulness, fun, and imagination. On the next slide, we have some examples of branded ephemera. I'd like to see Colin in a tie-dye shirt on the inaugural ride. And then on the next slide, we have just a contrast study of how the new identity can be applied.